Hi, everyone. Dr. James here, and welcome to another edition of the Dr. James Show. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. We have the doctor. The doctor's making a house call or a virtual call, Dr. Shirley Davis. Dr. Shirley Davis is a global workforce expert. She is an author. She is a corporate executive, CEO, popular LinkedIn learning author, master of reinvention, and recently a Toastmasters Golden Gavel Award winner. Before we get started, before we bring Dr. Davis into the house, let's take a look at a little bit of her wisdom magic via this video right here. Let's take a look.
So we need to make sure as leaders that we're tapping into people's untapped potential. We're seeing in them what they don't see in themselves. We're helping them to get a larger vision for themselves. Today is about us. Speak up. Say something about it. That takes courage. Courage to take risks. Courage to step out and be the only one. As the world changes, and it's changing really at a fast pace, how do we make sure that we're changing at that same pace as well? Do what you say you're going to do and consistently do it.
I was so inspired today that I'm actually going to go back and write a blog and send it out to my entire company on our intranet of just how this course was able to not only wake up and talk about my fears and what I need to do, but help me get to that next step.
Failure is an option if you can learn from it. Some of the most successful people in life have failed. Fail fast and fail forward. You have to get out of your own way. And oftentimes we can be our biggest obstacles. So why do we care so much about what other people think?
Dr. Shirley Davis. Dr. Davis, welcome to the Dr. James Show. So glad to have you. Thank you for being here.
What an honor, what an honor, what an honor. So excited to be here. Thank you for the kind invitation. And wow, you know what? That video, every time I see it, it just really causes me to leap inside because of the impact that people share that they're making. Wow, that's so amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Watching that video, you got me fired up. You got me fired up. Like, give me more, give me more. Yeah. Dr. Davis, you said, I'm just jumping to the video footage. You said, failure is an option.
Yes.
Talk to us about your thoughts around failure, because people from time to time say, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, let me tell you this. We all probably grew up hearing that whole mantra of failure is not an option. And the problem with that is that we isolate people into not wanting to share their learnings and then afraid to take risk and to do things that they want to do, know they're called to do, know they're gifted to do, but they're afraid of failing. I'm telling you, the most successful people in life have gotten to that level because they learn what not to do. And that's what failure does. I have failed in relationships. I've failed in my finances. I've failed in business ventures. I've failed in careers. I have failed to do things that I knew I should be doing. And look, as a result of getting out of my own way and allowing failure to be an option, to learn from it, to grow from it, to leap from it, as a result of that, I am where I'm at today. So thank God for failure.
What are your principles or your steps, your beliefs around how do you get back up?
Yes.
How do you fail and get back up? Because some people, they stay down.
That's right.
I like to say MSBB, get mad, get sad, get better, get busy. Get mad, get sad, get better, get busy. What's your approach to getting back up?
Yeah, first of all, recognizing that it is something human. None of us are perfect. None of us have everything together. So when we fail, what we have to do is recognize that, yes, We're human. It's a part of life. But what are you going to do about it? How are you going to learn? How are you going to get back up? How are you going to shift your thinking? So for me, every time that I failed, I looked inside and said, okay, what did I do different? What can I do differently? What did I do that was a wrong decision in the wrong time with the wrong person? Did it in the wrong way? So that's what we have to do. And then the other thing I learned too, Dr. James, was let's look at the road signs of every situation and in life. There's some road signs that say stop. There's some road signs that say yield. There's some road signs that say you need to take a detour. And we can be like the GPS system. Sometimes you just got to recalculate. Nothing wrong with taking a wrong turn, but you can get back on the road and go the right direction. So for me, as I have failed, I looked inside at me, not at everybody else. And I didn't throw a pity. If you throw a pity party, you got 3 days. Look, I'm like Jesus Christ. Resurrect yourself, get up and get out of the grave after you done had your crying and your sobbing and weeping. It's okay. Weeping endures for the night. Joy comes in the morning.
You said recalculating.
Yes.
Dr. Davis, you are this global expert, author, speaker. Is this what you wanted to be when you were growing up? Take us back.
Yeah.
Take us on the journey of how you got here.
Yeah.
And what do you want to be remembered for? Your legacy.
Thank you. So no, this is not where I wanted to be. I did know that speaking was one of my gifts and talents, but that was at a very, very young age. I always attracted to like speech writing, always attracted to English composition. I always competed in speech competitions. I was on the debate team. So those kinds of things always attracted me. And I think at an early age, we all, think about what we want to do. And I grew up wanting to be a lawyer. I was thinking I might be a teacher. And then I wanted to be like this family court judge. And then, as life happens, you realize you got certain gifts, but that may not be your specific calling. So those things that I was doing at an early age, even playing with my 3 brothers, Dr. James, I used to do a thing where we would all play together and I was the teacher and they were the students. Well, today I'm the teacher and I got a lot of students. So at an early age, I at least knew I wanted to teach. I wanted to help develop. I love helping people get a better vision for themselves, understand their greatness and get beyond their area of being stuck. So there I am. Look, I ultimately ended up in human resources. Although I did go to school, my undergraduate degree is in law, pre-law. And then I went to get my master's degree in HR. But you know what? I believe that there are crumbs in our lives. There are breadcrumbs that leave a trail. I believe that there are specific things that we find out in our lives through failing, through experiences, through our support network, through prayer. I'm a woman of faith, so you'll hear that come out of me unapologetically. But those things allow us to then begin to find what is our purpose. And so for me, I began to uncover and discover that things that were happening to me were ultimately guiding and leading me into my destiny. And that is where I'm at today.
Well, talk about your destiny. How about your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? Dr. Shirley Davis, what do you want to be remembered for?
One of my greatest achievements, and you called out a lot of things that I'm really, really proud of. And those things came from hard work. They came from really, just diligence, determination, commitment, and overcoming fears and getting out of my own way. But one of my biggest accomplishments is my daughter. Being a mom is probably the most important title that I hold. And so I want to leave a legacy for her. I was just talking to her not too long ago, and that I want to be remembered for being a great mom, for instilling in her the courage, determination, the stamina, and having the kind of skill set, mindsets, and the attitudes to be able to be successful. I want to leave in her all of the things that I've learned, the lessons as well as the successes. She's my legacy. But the other part of that legacy is that I want people, organizations, situations, communities, and places where I've been, and I've been all over the world, but I want them to say that when I was in the presence of Dr. Shirley Davis, my life changed forever, that she said something, she did something, she touched me in a way that truly allowed me to think bigger and achieve more.
You mentioned your daughter. I believe we have a picture of you and your daughter.
Yes, my mini me.
My mini me. Rumor has it that she attends conferences with you.
Yeah.
She's potentially a future speaker. Let's take a look at that picture of you and your mini me. Let's put it up there. Oh, that's mom and daughter.
Three
Take a look.
generations.
Yes, 3 generations. Talk to me about mom. Talk to me about your mini me.
That's right. My mom has been my rock. My mom has been my prayer warrior. She's been my best friend, still is. My mom is still alive. And I'm so grateful for her. She instilled in me at a very, very young age how
Let's
to
put
be a
that picture
strong,
back up there. Let's put that picture back up
how to
there
be a very
as you're
strong,
talking. I want the picture to be
independent
up there
woman.
as you're talking.
And so my mom and I really today, we still laugh, we still talk, but my mom is just a rock for the family. She's that maternal mistress of the universe. I love her. And so as I've had my daughter, it was interesting is as I found out I was pregnant, I was also going through a divorce. And it was my mom who helped me to really recognize the strength that I had to do it, the determination. And even though I was experiencing a failure, I was also experiencing one of the greatest joys of my life, and that was giving birth to my daughter. And so she is my why. She's the reason why I do what I do. She's the reason why I've been able to overcome so many of my setbacks and so many of the tragedies and the near-death life experiences. And I'm so proud to say, Dr. James, that today she is working in my corporation. She's now traveling with me around the world. And yes, I am teaching her how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a mogul, and how to be a millionaire, not only in money, but in mindset and in her heart and in her thinking. So I'm really proud of her. She is talented, she's gifted, she's organized, and she's doing a phenomenal job in helping to reposition me in my branding on social media, visibility. So all that stuff you see on social media, that's my daughter.
Wow, wow, wow. That is phenomenal. Dr. Shirley, tell me about, if you could remember, that time when you were on stage or in a classroom or in front of a bunch of people where you realize, oh, I'm good. I got skills. Okay. This is the way I like this.
Yeah. You know, I started my first pageant at the age of 13. That's when I was first on stage, was in pageants, but I'd also done some modeling. I had gotten into modeling as well. So I did a lot of petite modeling, runway modeling, and I absolutely loved that and did that for years. Did that in my high school, but I also did it for, if you might remember, this is really dating me, Barbizon and Ja Casablanca's modeling schools. So I did that, was really, really good at it. And do you know what? Back in the day, used to be another show called Star Search.
Yes.
And I entered, Star Search had a modeling competition, and I entered that in the local DC area and won the local Star Search for modeling and runway. So that was a lot of fun. I did travel around the area in the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and got an opportunity to model. But then my first real, like on the stage competing, was when I competed in my very first teenage pageant. It was called Miss National Teenager. And that first year I got second runner up, but I also won the speech competition, and I rated highest in interviewing. So I just had to work it a little bit, come back the next year. And the next year I won my very, very first local title of Miss District of Columbia National Teenager. So that's when I was in my element. I was like, I like this, I can do this. And I went back at that entire year, failed that first one. Remember, failure is an option, because had I not learned that from being in that first pageant, I would not have gone back and incorporated the feedback that I got from the judges and from the pageant director. And I came back and I won that thing that next year.
You won that thing. You won that thing. Wow.
Yes.
You say really, really, really great speakers make it look easy, where people think they can get up there and do it too. But they don't realize the ridiculous amount of preparation that goes into getting up on that stage to make that presentation. Can you take us behind the scenes and tell us a little bit about what you do to get ready to go out there? Do you have your mantra? Do you play music? Because we have some budding speakers out there who are watching this, and they want to learn from the doctor. So take us behind the curtain and fill us in on some of the things you do to go out there and do what you do.
You know, James, my life, as I talked about that earlier, my life's experiences and the breadcrumbs that were left to order my steps and get me to where I am, all of those experiences have prepared me. So you heard me mention that I've worked in human resources, and my destiny, my purpose found me. So I was working in banking during college to get me through college. And in banking, I started out as a teller, moved to teller supervisor, ultimately branch manager. I worked in banking for about 15, 20 years. But then I also was really, really good at what I did. And so I was asked in the bank to then train other customer service representatives on how to open deposits, how to provide great customer service, and that kind of thing. And so that all opened the door, that opportunity opened the door for me to then get into training. That was what started my career in human resources, from banking into training and development, and it was in human resources. And that's where I found my niche, my love, my passion. And I began to be in training. So guess what? That step allowed me to start training, getting development, getting the skills, the education, the certifications, and all of that. And that's what prepared me for what I'm doing today. That's one step. The other step was pageants, because as I competed in that first pageant, I got the fever. And for the next 20 years, I competed in pageants all over the world until in 2000, I won the national title of Miss America United States, traveled all over the country speaking. That was another training ground. The bank was training ground in human resources. And then for me, I started doing speaking in my church, doing Bible studies and so all of these things started coming together. So what I'm saying to you is, don't despise the small beginnings. Don't overlook these little opportunities that you get, the doors that open, because they are leading you somewhere. And all of those things begin to teach me. So now that I am this world-renowned, sought-after speaker and getting paid, the big money. I didn't always get paid the big money, but I had to work through those years and years of preparation. Guess what I did? I went through speaker boot camps. I found Mr. Les Brown, who became my mentor, my friend, my speech coach. He pushed me, but I've gone through deep, deep, deep training. I went through Lisa Nichols training, had her as a speaker coach. So I went to the best to learn. That was how I built my craft and how I really honed in on the skill sets. And then that taught me how to build my story. All those things that happened in my life were stories that became part of my message that was really designed to help people see you're not alone. Other people have been there, got the t-shirt, and wrote the book. But then the other thing behind the scenes, Dr. James, is I have a team of people who support me, but I'm staying on top of trends. I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm constantly looking at how I can shift and enhance my speech. And so I'm always looking at it. Even though I can go out there now with no stress, no pressure, no anxiety, it's because I did all that work those years to build out my message, to build out the ways that I put it, the format, the sequencing, the timing, and then knowing how it resonates with the people who are hearing it.
I love it. Do you hear how much work goes into being Dr. Shirley Davis? You just can't get up on the platform and just show up and throw up. Work goes
That's
into
right.
it. Dr. Davis, you mentioned Les Brown being your mentor.
Yes.
Les Brown wrote the foreword for my first book.
Mine too. Yes.
So there you go. We're going to show a video of
Yes.
Les Brown sharing some thoughts about you. Let's take a look at this video with Les Brown loving on Dr. Shirley
You have
Davis.
something special. You have greatness in you. Hello, I'm Les Brown, and I want to take this opportunity to say congratulations to Dr. Shirley Davis. She has been recognized nationally and internationally and has received the Golden Gavel Award from Toastmasters. I won that award, and let me share something with you. That's an elite group. I've known her for over 21 years. And when it comes to diversity, leadership, or bringing out your greatness, she owns that space. Come on up in here. Congratulations to you, Dr. Davis. Let me share something with you. When you think about a speaker, you want someone to come in and transform that audience individually and collectively on stage or through Zoom. She is the one. I recommend her above myself, because she's got it like that. But I'm not scared of you. I want you to know. That's my spiritual daughter. I love her, and I'm so proud of her and her incredible daughter, Toy. You have something special. You have greatness in you, Dr. Shirley Davis, and I'm glad the world and Toastmasters recognize it by bestowing upon you the Golden Gavel Award. You go with your bad self. Bye for now.
Dr. Davis,
Oh, how
Dr. Davis,
amazing.
tell me about number one, being mentored by the number one motivational speaker in the world, Les Brown. Number
Yes,
two, winning the Toastmasters Golden Gavel.
yes.
And number three, hearing those words
I know.
that he just shared about his spiritual daughter. Talk to us.
You see, I'm pinching myself still. I'm pinching myself because, again, when you start to understand your why and you start to invest in yourself and you really start to hone and develop and grow, it's going to not only take time, effort, and energy, but it will take an investment. And the very first time that I met him was because I had invested in going to another event that he was at, and we ran into each other. And I believe in those kind of divine appointments because that day changed my life and forever connected Les and I. He saw me, we got to talking. He had remembered me from being Miss America United States. This was in 2001. I had just gave up my crown, and we ran into each other and we became connected and close friends and inseparable. And he said to me, you got something special on the inside of you. There's greatness on the inside. He used to always say this to me. There is greatness on the inside of you. You got to discover it because the world needs it. Don't take it to your grave. So that next year, I enrolled in the Les Brown speaker training. And from there on, it was on. And I spent every year after that being mentored and coached by him. And he saw something in me. And I can tell you, I won a number of his speech competitions. I became one of his platinum speakers. And I got to travel all over the world with him to speak on some of the most phenomenal stages, largest and biggest stages ever. And what was amazing about this, Dr. James, is then when I was able to tell him, Les, oh my God, I got called to write this book by this major global publishing company. He said, I want to write the foreword. And he did. And then I called him back and I was like, Les, oh my God, Oprah Winfrey's office called me and they want me to write an article. Les was like, okay, let's write it. And he helped me craft my story to put it in there. And so all of these wonderful moments has been because he had poured so much in me. And I was like the proud student to go back to my mentor and to say, looky, what's happening because I did what you told me to do. And so ultimately he taught me how to not live my fears, but to live my dreams. I love these. I got these all over my house because these are the things that constantly motivate me. And I use them as stories. And when I had to really walk that thing out. Now, the third thing I'll tell you is whenever I got this call from Toastmasters International, it was out of the blue and totally.
As you're telling the story, let's put the picture up of you with your Golden Gavel Award. So continue to talk. I want people to see the picture.
So I get this call that I am now the Toastmasters International. Now, let me just tell you what that means. Toastmasters is the largest organization for speakers worldwide, 330,000 members worldwide. And when he told me that I was going to be the only one to get it, because they only give it to one person a year, and he told me the list of people, the Tony Robbins, the Joyce Brothers, the Zig Ziglars, the John Maxwell's, the Les Browns. And so Les and I got to talking, and Les said, do you know that you're my only mentee? Out of the 21 years I've been mentoring you, you are the only one that's also got the Golden Gavel. He said, you have arrived. You are now officially the GOAT in the speaking industry. So you got to embrace that. And I have.
Dr. Shirley is a GOAT.
He said, you are a legend. He said, you are a GOAT. You are the GOAT and a legend in the speaking industry because not everybody gets that. And he said, I want to give a special recognition. I'm going to record this video. And it was played at the conference, at the international conference. And then I was able to get this, and it just solidified it for me. It made it come full circle that all this work that I had done, listening to some of the best in the industry, which is another key thing. Get around people who are more successful than you, been there, done that, and don't mind sharing with you what they've learned and where they failed. Les Brown shared with me what not to do because he had also failed in certain areas. So it helped me to be successful sooner And it helped me to be more successful than he was even at my age. So those are the kinds of things for me that I want to make sure speakers know, is that this is a lot of work, but be at the right place at the right time. Put yourself out there, make the kind of investments that, yes, it's a sacrifice, but it's also an investment that has paid off in dividends. And so I'm proud today, yes, to be the GOAT, to be a legend, but also I'm proud to say I'm still working on my craft. I have not necessarily come to a place where I can say I'm so perfect and I don't have any more work to do. I'm still working. I'm still like, what's my next mountain? What's my next opportunity? What's the door behind door number 10, right? So I'm constantly looking for new opportunities, because as long as we wake up every single day, there is something that we have to do. We are called to greatness, and every day needs to be as if it's your last.
I love it. I love it. Your energy is infectious. I thought I brought the energy. No, Dr. Shirley brings it. But I'm going to ask you to turn the energy down just a little and pretend like you're sitting in your favorite chair at home. Your slippers are on, you're sitting back, you're relaxed, and you're reflecting. And you're reflecting on the award you just won.
Yeah.
Becoming a GOAT. Talk to us from the heart, viscerally. How does that feel?
Humbling, extremely grateful. And I've been, as I got back just last week, I got back and I had this weekend to really process. My parents were there, my daughter was there, some of my team was there. And it was just listening to and seeing, not only listening to live and in person, the reaction that the audience was having to my stories, to my setbacks, to the strategies and the successes that I was sharing, to the emotions that I was presenting on stage, to being my most authentic self. I said to myself, this has been worth everything I've gone through. Every relationship that was broken, every heart that every time my heart was broken, I said, you know what? I'm so glad that I learned how to get better and not get bitter. And I'm so grateful that I took some chances. And I, as Les taught me to, I jumped and I grew my wings on the way down. I'm so glad I took these calculated risks, not always knowing what was going to be behind that door, but I was willing to say, you know what, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to leap and jump out there, even if I don't know, but at least I know that I've calculated, I've counted the cost. And I just sat here this weekend and thinking, okay, before I start looking at all of the stuff, well, what's next? Let me just bask in this and say, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Thank you, Lord, for blessing me with the gift. Thank you for allowing this gift to make room for me. Thank you for the people who came up to me afterwards at the actual event. And these were people who didn't look like me, but they resonated with my message. They resonated with my story. Some of them had tears in their eyes. And they said, thank you for telling your story so authentically. It really moved me and touched me. And it helped me to realize I can do it. It helped me to see I got more work to do. It helped me to see I too can jump and grow my wings on the way down. I too can leave my full-time job and get into speaking if that's what I want to do, and I do. That's the kind of stuff, Dr. James, for me, that grounds me, but that pushes me and keeps me going. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I'm passionate, but I'm also at a place where I'm humbled and saying, you know what? I want to continue to do what I do, and I want to continue to make a difference, because it's not about me.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to steal your, well, borrow your phrase, get better, not bitter. I love that.
Yes.
Hashtag stole it.
Yes.
You go to the audience, there is a question that says, how do you know when it's time to reinvent yourself? And what is the approach to doing so? How do you know when it's time to reinvent? And what is your approach, or a approach, to reinvention?
So I wrote the book. That was my first book, and that was one of the ones that Les did a forward. He's actually did a forward in all of my books, but I wrote the book called Reinvent Yourself. And I did that at a time where I had gone through 2 near-death experiences. And I'm talking about car rolled over, flipped over 4 times, left me in a coma. I'm talking about being held at gunpoint in a bank, violent bank.
You went right through that red light. Your car rolled over,
4
You were
times.
in a coma. You
Yes.
were held at gunpoint.
In the bank where I was working at the bank. Yeah. And then going through a terrible divorce, and then being found now to be a single mom, going through financial devastation, having to go through bankruptcy, having career setbacks. I wrote the book. Having friends that betray you, and then not having that sense of self-esteem that you need because you've been beat down so much and told you're not this and you can't do that, and bad bosses, toxic cultures that you're working in. Those things caused me to have to reinvent myself. So that's one of the reasons why you reinvent yourself, is because when life knocks you down, what Les used to always say, when life knocks you down, if you can look up, you can get up. And so I did that. I took his advice. I surrounded myself with the right kind of people. I went through counseling and therapy. I started going through life-changing development. At that time, it wasn't podcasts, but you could listen to cassette tapes and you could watch.
Cassette. Do you remember the cassette?
Old school cassette. I got so many of those things that helped me to reinvent myself. So I had to reinvent my finances and put myself on a financial management plan after being so broke. I was so broke that I wasn't just robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know how people say, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. Look, I was robbing Peter and then robbing Paul because I couldn't pay Paul either. Couldn't pay him either. But then being a single mom, I had to reinvent myself because at 6 months old, when my daughter's looking up to me and I can barely pay bills and I'm having to go and get, those loans at 21 and 25% interest, and they take your car title until you can pay it back. And then I'm going to the check cashing companies and then hoping that the check don't bounce. When my daughter's looking up to me and she's, this innocent, this person that's dependent on you, I was like, I got to do better. I got to make better decisions before she actually comes into herself and realizes that her mom is this, and not this, and this. I got to do better. I got to set a standard, and I've got to allow her to be proud of me. So I went back to school. I got out of the debt. I went through counseling and therapy. I recommitted myself back to my faith. And I surrounded myself with the right kind of friends and changed the atmosphere, changed the environment, and began to work through it. And over a matter of 10 years, I had reinvented myself. And then I ultimately wrote the book because I said, I know I'm not the only one who's been through these things. So a couple of things you can do to reinvent yourself. Those are some. But to reinvent yourself in that book, every chapter is a re. So the first one is you got to reassess your purpose. What's your why? Reassess that, redefine. What does success look like? You got to retool your communication skill sets and what does it take to really be successful? What are skills and qualifications you're going to need in order to do what you want to do? Then I had to reevaluate my relationships. I had to reestablish my financial management plan. And then the other thing I had to do is I had to regain my personal power. That's the formula right there.
Well, we can stop right there. I mean, you've been dropping pearls, but this show's going to be over at one point. If people want you, if they want to bring you in, if they want to read your books, if they want to connect with you, where do they go?
Oh, drshirleydavis.com. Please go there. Please visit, connect with me. I'm on all social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, TikTok. I'm on all of them. So please connect with me. My website has a lot of great videos. I'm on YouTube. I got a great YouTube channel, and you can see some of the highlights of some of my speeches, some of my coaching, some of my I just sometimes will come on and just give words of encouragement. Some webinars that I've done, I've posted them. So please do that. And on my website, you can also check out free resources. Under resources, that drop down box has some free things that you can also do. And I've got some stuff in there about how you can reinvent yourself.
I love you talk about highlights. Let's show this video right here. I believe it was you at a SHRM conference.
Okay.
You got a clip. Let's take a look at Dr. Shirley Davis doing her thing at the SHRM conference. What? Take a look.
I'm Carly from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I just heard Dr. Shirley Davis complete her opening keynote here at HR Indiana SHRM Conference. I am blown away how she hit on all the things HR right now that I am living and dealing with in my work life, from diversity, inclusion, engagement, why employees stay, why employees leave, how to get seats at the table, everything that we are dealing with in the HR world today. And I just want to thank you. You knocked it out of the park. I just met Carly today, and she is so pumped and so excited. We took a selfie, and she just went on about me being what the most prolific speaker I've ever heard at any HR conference. My favorite. I've heard a lot. I've sat in a lot of rooms. I've heard a lot of keynotes, and I'm just most compelled. I had goosebumps, goosies going down my arm when she was talking. She was speaking my language, and props to her. Props to Indiana Sherm for getting her as a keynote today. Good. Thanks, Carly. I appreciate it. It's been a wonderful experience to be here today. Wonderful, engaging audience. And I am so thrilled to hear how much impact today's session on global workforce trends that are redefining the workplace, and the workers. Thanks again, Carly, for being here. And thanks again, Indiana Sherm, for hosting me today.
Talk to us. What was that experience like? And was that your sister from another mister? I mean, she loves you. Tell me about that.
Just out of the blue, she was from the audience. I was a large audience that day too. It was their state. You know what's amazing is I hear so many of those, and I always forget to capture it. And it's important to me because it's something that other people, like you're listening to it, and I'm listening to it again, and it's invigorating, right? It's energizing to hear the impact that you are making. And for me, I like to, whenever I'm keynoting, I'm going to tell you stories. I'm going to share experiences. I'm going to share research and data because I try to speak the language of everybody, but it's about connecting. It's about relating to people, and it's about making yourself human enough that it resonates with them and they can walk away not only with professional skills and new ideas, but they walk away inspired and empowered personally to keep on running the race. And so I'm glad to hear that she did that. That just, again, those things give me goosies too, just to listen to them.
You talked about being extremely authentic on the platform, sharing your stories, your gory stories and your glory stories. But some speakers, some leaders will say, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'm not going to share that. I don't want them to judge me. I'm not going to put that in my book. No.
Yep.
What advice do you have for them relative to just giving people to create the engagement and the experience?
I think you're right that, we have to be willing to do that. And if you are not, you're not going to be that kind of speaker that's truly having a major impact, that's truly transformational and memorable. You can give a lot of statistics and data and research, but if you don't make it practical for people, because I learned this even working at the Society for Human Resource Management and now speaking at many of their state and national conferences, is that they want people who are going to give them practical takeaways that help them in their daily life. And that means not only at work, but how do you wake up every day with the right mindset? How do you treat people every day? How do you make the right decisions? So we got to do that. If we want to be memorable speakers and be relatable speakers and speakers that truly are transforming people's lives and mindsets and skill sets, we got to be able to tell stories. You got to be able to tell people you've been there and you can relate to them and you understand where they are and they can make it. They can get past that they've got greatness on the inside of them. But if you keep your stories to yourself, you are doing them a disservice. Now, I'm big on, if you don't have a victory in your story yet, don't get up there and share it. Because I've heard people get up there and, oh my God, they're working through it. It becomes a therapy session.
Therapy on stage.
Oh my God. And it's not something that inspires us. We're crying and hurting for you, but this person clearly has not gotten over it and has not gotten the victory through it. So you really need to work through all the situations and the issues you're going through. And then what your responsibility is to tell us how you got through it. If you haven't got through it yet, don't tell it. But when you get through it, tell the story. That's how people overcome. That's how they become conquerors in their own right. I did this thing. So last year, I got an opportunity to write 2 books in 1 year. I've never done that before. By 2 different global
diversity for dummies. Diversity for dummies.
That one, but before that one, James, I actually got a call from. You probably heard of Barrett Kohler, who's also a partner with Random Penguin House. And they wanted me to write my story about how I got beyond so many of my what ifs. I wrote this book, Living Beyond What If. How do you release the limits, self-imposed limits, and how do you realize your dreams? And in that book, I told more stories, because the first book was about how I finally in my early 20s and 30s had all these issues. Yes, yes, yes. And guess what? That woman on the front cover of this book is living in her happy place, because I had to get out of my head and step into my greatness. I had to get beyond my own self-imposed limiting beliefs and disempowering questions in order to really be able to realize my dreams. So while I might have achieved success in my 20s and 30s to some degree, I still had not truly actualized and evolved into this woman that I am today, this woman that you see right here, where I truly say, you know what, I don't only want to think about my happy place, I want to be in my happy place. And I want to not just be there in my mindset, I want to be there every day. So I moved from Washington, D.C. to Tampa Bay, Treasure Island, St. Pete area, 5 minutes from this ocean. This picture was taken 5 minutes down the street from where I live at. And that's what's on the front cover of the book as well. So I teach people, not only do you want to get to your happy place mentally, psychologically, and emotionally, but you need to live every day and in your happy place, literally and physically.
Let me repeat the title of the book again for people to take it in.
Yes.
Living beyond what if.
Yes.
Because we always, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this? What if? No, Dr. Shirley's talking about living beyond that.
That's right. That's right. And look, on page 58, and I always like to take people here, page 58 in this chapter, which is called Stuck on What If, the Common Disempowering Questions. And a lot of our what ifs, and these were mine, they might be yours too, and I've come to find out that they are common, is what if I'm not good enough? What if I don't have enough money? What if I fail? What if I get rejected or not selected? What if I get fired? What if I don't have the time? What if I look stupid? All of these reasons why we don't step into our greatness. I had to get out of my way. And in this book, Beyond What If, I literally not only list the question, but I then talk about the empowering responses. So how do you go from a disempowering what if to an empowering response to that what if? So I conquered them. I conquered them.
What if I have to now present virtually? What if I don't have a physical audience? What if I can't touch people? What if I have to, in my mind, lower my speaker fees? What?
That's right. That's right. And look, what I found, because these what ifs are also tied directly to fears. And look, we're only born with 2 fears. All the other ones are taught. The only 2 fears we're born is the fear of a loud sound and the fear of falling. All the other fears, fear of failing, fear of speaking, and speaking is tied directly to, I'm afraid of what people are going to think, and I'm afraid I'm going to look stupid. I'm afraid I'm going to get rejected. But I wrote down all of my fears that I had, all these what ifs that kept me stuck on the road of called pause and procrastination. So once I wrote all those down, and I wrote down, then if this happens, then I'm going to do this. And if that happens, I'm going to do this. And then if that happens, I'm going to do this. Look, I found out that 85 to 90% of the things that we really worry about and fear don't even happen. It's in our minds. And so we've allowed our minds to truly create a mountain and a molehill in which we don't want to climb. And so I'm so grateful that I did that, because then I took the sting and the power away from the fears and the what ifs. And now today, my what ifs is, well, what if I build a bigger business? What if I can dream of being a billionaire? What if? So my what ifs are about possibilities and not limitations now.
I love it. I love it. What if you had the opportunity to be still for a year or two, hone your craft, rest up, and get back out there? We have a video of you at a convention, and it's you getting back out there after a period of time. Let's take a look at this video.
Amazing to be back in live conferences, huge convention centers and exhibit halls. Look at all of the exhibitors, sponsors, and all the vendors here. I'm loving it. Yep, there's Tony Robbins. And guess what? There's LinkedIn Learning. I am so excited. It's been amazing to be at this event this year. I'm excited. I'm speaking tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about speaker blind spots that can cost you business. And so I'm going to be talking a bit about some of the biases that we have to be aware of as we're speaking. Our audiences are changing, and we can't say things and do things and prepare our presentations if we're not aware of a lot of the demographic shifts, the needs, the expectations, and the accommodations that we have to have. So I'm excited. I'm here today just as a participant, and then I'll get an opportunity to speak tomorrow and do my book signing. But I'm just loving, loving, loving all the excitement of the people who are here now, everybody to be back in live events. Look at all of the conversations going. It's just going for miles and miles and hours and hours. Love it, love it, love it. Have a great day. Just wanted to share that live events are back.
Back. How did it feel
Yeah.
to get back out there?
It was invigorating. It was like a high. And, for me, here's the reality. I don't give. Now, this is so key and important. And one of the things that I said in the video as well, too, is, we got to recognize that things are changing. But I will tell you, Dr. James, even when I was still at home, I did more virtual events than I'd ever done. And so I went from doing 80 to 90 live keynotes a year, prior 2020 and prior, to then doing like 120, 140, 150, because I was loving the fact that I could be here, have on a nice top, have on my pajama pants and my slippers. Yes.
While you're talking, I think we have a picture of you in your virtual studio.
Space. There it is right there. Yes.
Look at that.
Yes. And what you can't see is I got on my slippers even in the studio, right? Which is so cool. So cool. But yeah, speaking to thousands of people around the world and not having to really leave my home. Right now, this is in a studio that's not far from my home, and they were actually able to allow me to come and do this one. So when I do like those very large thousands of people conferences, I like to do it there because of the great technology. And then I've also turned my home, 2 of my rooms, into a full-blown studio as well. So I'm loving the fact that I could be all over the world in one day. And I have done that. I've done 4 different countries in one day. So I've been to Asia, been to Europe, been to Africa, and here in the US, all in one day. And I love that. I got a number of those coming up as well. But yes, that's how we've all had to shift and think about when times change, people are changing, companies and marketplaces and our communities are changing. You cannot afford to stay the same. You can't stay stagnant. You can't get complacent and think that that one message is going to be the message that's going to resonate forever. No, you got to constantly enhance and embrace. I have one speech that, for example, people love it, but based on where the company is and based on what their theme is, I'm constantly changing the title. Same speech, different title of the speech. So we got to constantly stay relevant. We got to be agile, and we got to constantly be thinking about how do we upgrade and enhance our craft.
I love it. I call it pandemic blessings.
Yes.
Like you, in the past, we would take 3 days for one keynote, travel there, do the keynote, maybe stay a day. Now we're doing 3 keynotes in a day.
That's right.
Easy.
That's right. Yeah.
Just changing the outfit or even not, because you're in different time zones.
Different times and different audiences.
And let me put this out there for people who are watching. We're not lowering our fees. No. The people that work for you work at home. Are you paying them less? No. You're paying them their fee, and you're promoting them. And actually, you're saving money for not paying our travel, our hotel.
That's right.
You're paying for our gift, our experiences, Dr. Davis's experiences in life, ups and downs. But you're still getting her.
Yeah.
No discount.
And you know what? I love that. You're so right. Such great wisdom to these to the speakers that are coming. There were times as you're growing your business, as you're now getting into the speaking business, there are times that you may have to adjust your fees and that kind of thing. But when you get to a certain level of a Les Brown mentee, of a golden gavel, of whatever award or whatever speaking accolades that you've gotten, and you've really gotten to that level where you can afford to have a high paid speaker fee, I want you to also think about, you then have to know your worth. Do not start, I always say, do not start and put yourself on the clearance rack. You need to start at
Mm.
retail prices. Never start there. No department store that you walk into has all of the sales stuff right up front. No, that's what they call bargain basements. That's what they call way back in the back. They call it the, off the rack stuff. But when you walk into the Dillard's, the Saks Fifth Avenues, the Nordstroms and that kind of thing, all of the highest price stuff is right up front. I want you to think about that. You start with your highest fee. If you need to adjust and work it down, let me tell you something. If you happen to lower your fee, do it where there's a complementary and a correlating value that the company can provide. The other thing is, I've learned too, Dr. James, now where I'm at today is it's okay for me to say, no, I'm probably not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
No, I know that your budget is this, and this, and that's way below my budget. Let me refer you to some others that I'm mentoring that probably you could afford. But I'm okay walking away and saying no. But I know if you're real hungry and you're getting started out, we all did that. If you have to start at a lower fee, see if they can also give you additional value added benefits. For example, I do this still today in addition to my fee. It's like, okay, well, can you buy this many books? Okay, can I have placement on your website? Would I be able to get the list of all of those who are attending your conference so that I can then be able to build my list and reach back out to them? Would I be able to have a full page ad in your newsletter or your magazine? That's value added because that costs money for advertising and promotions. You don't have to pay. So think about some of those other additions to your lower fee that can then ultimately add up to what you get
Dropping
paid.
pearls, you're dropping pearls, you're dropping pearls. But Dr. Davis, suppose this gives me great exposure. This has the potential to set me up for something else.
Yeah.
Shouldn't I do it then?
Consider it. Especially if you're at a young, what I call entry level, intermediate level, and you're still building your brand. Dr. James, we're not building our brand anymore. Our brand is out there. I don't need more visibility. I'm telling you, I can't tell you the number of people who still try to sell me on getting more visibility. I'm like, I've got more visibility than I can handle. I'm good with it. But for those of you who are trying to get that visibility and building that out there, those things that I just shared, getting a full page ad, yes, that's visibility. And if you need to, you're not getting any calls and you need to then get out in front of audiences, be very targeted and specific and strategic about the audiences. Is this going to be an audience where the decision makers are? Is it the right level of people that's in that audience as well? Are you at a place where you can then create and craft your message in a way that's going to meet their needs? And then I teach you too, you got to learn how to drop seeds. I call it seeding in your speech. So when I'm keynoting is an entry for me to then come into their organizations and get a year-long, 2 or 3 year long contract. So you need to even know that a keynote is one price, one time, one moment. But you want to then be seeding about all the other things that you can do, whether it's a coaching program, an e-learning program, a licensing, a train-the-trainer, a certification. I've got 12 revenue streams, 12 revenue streams, and building 2 more to launch next year. I'm just saying, never be a one-track speaker.
Let's quickly go back to the audience. There's a question that says, regarding your corporate experience, your corporate expertise,
Yeah.
what are at least 3 aspects of diversity and inclusion should the leadership of a Fortune 500 company focus on today?
Yeah.
So going back to your corporate experience and even now,
Yeah.
and perhaps pulling something from this amazing book, Diversity for Dummies, what are 3, at least Diversity for Dummies? What are 3 aspects of diversity and I that a leadership should consider as they continue to grow their company?
Yeah, thank you for that plug. Because, that one, remember I was telling you that last year I got called by 2 global publishing companies. Yes. So Wiley & Sons are the publishers of the Dummies book. Huge. They got almost 3,000 books for dummies, which is really about learning made easy. It's about us recognizing ourselves, what we don't know, and that we need to get more practical knowledge and inspiration. I can't tell you how amazing, honored, and grateful, and yet humbled I was that they asked little old me to write the book. The first ever Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Dummies. They wanted me to write the book, not for people like me who had drank the Kool-Aid, who had been in that role, who had done the work as a Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, but they said, write this book for the line leaders, the line supervisors, those who are a bit removed from it, those who don't understand it, those who might be resistant to it. So that's your audience, all the way up to the board level. So that's who I wrote this book for. So what I want you to understand about DE&I, the three things is making sure you understand that DE&I is not only the role of human resources, is not only the role of the diversity officer. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is every leader's role and is every person's responsibility to contribute, building cultures of inclusion, belonging, trust, psychological safety, and high performance. All of us ought to go to work every day and want to treat people with respect and dignity and leverage from their diverse perspectives and ideals and the ways that they see the world and become better and learn more from, again, recognizing we see the world the way we are. But when you surround yourself with diversity of thought and perspectives and experiences, you learn more and you see a bigger, broader perspective. That's the first thing. The second thing is that DE&I is a business strategy. It's not just something that's a nice to do. It's not just that you should do it so that you don't get sued and so that you don't, you don't get put on a viral video and get shamed and blamed because of the work you do. But recognizing that it is a business strategy and that corporations, if they want to increase their customer base, if they want to better service their customers, if they want to increase their market share, if they want to, if they want to expand around the world, but more importantly, if they want to attract top talent looks different. The world is changing, the demographics have changed. And if you don't change your sourcing and recruiting strategies and change your culture in the ways that all talent can thrive and have a level playing field, it's a going out of business strategy if you don't. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing around DE&I is recognizing that it is something that is going to consistently change, right? It's evolving. It used to be where I first started in this work 30 years ago, it was just around cultural sensitivity. It was around, affirmative action. It was just around EEO, right? Equal opportunity employment. But now it really is about culture. It's about how do we make sure that we create the right kind of work environment, that we choose the kind of companies, that we choose the kind of employers and the kind of workplaces that allows us to bring our most authentic self to work every day, that allows us to do our best thinking, bring our best gifts and talents, and that leverages us at the table, allows for those seats at the table to be opened up and has a bigger table now, where it recognizes that talent comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, interests, hobbies. And here's the last piece about it. Every one of us are diverse. And I believe that every single person that we come in contact with, we have something in common with. So let us stop looking for what we don't have in common. And let's also find shared meaning. And at the same time, let's also leverage what they have that we don't. And let's become better. Let's help our organizations be better. Let's help our world be more inclusive. It's everybody's responsibility.
I hope folks are taking notes. I really do, or recording it, or to watch this again. What you just talked about, building that culture.
Yeah.
Why do we struggle with that? Why are organizations still struggling with leaders saying things are fine, nothing's broken?
Yeah.
We're still generating revenue. Look at our numbers. Why do organizations still struggle with building an inclusive, empowering, equitable workplace
Good
culture?
question. And let me tell you something. Because my corporation, we do a lot of this. I told you about keynoting and I told you about seating. And then ultimately we work with organizations on long-term contracts to go in and do audits and assessments, and we do leadership coaching, and we help them with surveys and focus groups and listening sessions. That all gives us information as to where their current state of their culture is. What we find, Dr. James, is the reason why a lot of leaders are a lot of times disconnected from the employee experience is because many of them at the very top don't look like us. They look like there's a dominant group of, yes, mostly, and when you look at this across, and I'm giving you statistics, I'm giving you a reality check, is that when you look at Fortune 500 companies, we have less than 50 of them are headed up by women. Even less than that are headed up by people of color. 500 of the largest, most successful companies of Fortune 500, there's work to be done. When you look at the tops of organizations at the board of director levels, you don't see as many women, you don't see as many people of color. When you look at the E-suite, the C-suite, and at the director, senior director level, you still don't see enough people of color. And yet the demographics have changed. So the dominant groups oftentimes want to hold on to that power and not oftentimes see the realities of what's being faced at that director below low level. That's the first thing. Then they're disconnected about the employee experience and they don't believe they have biases. So we're teaching them how important it is to understand we all have biases, but those who have the power, the authority, the position, and the ability to make decisions as it relates to my career, my pay, my promotions, whether I get at the seat at the table, whether I get heard, or whether I get fired or not, belongs to those who are in power. And oftentimes when you're in the picture, you know, you can't see the frame, right? That's what I say, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So you have to step away. And that's what we do. We help them to step away to see that some of the decisions you're making, you continuously pick people who look like you, think like you, act like you, and you're missing out on all of the other great talent. There is this fear a lot of times that I find, especially at the top with that dominant group, this fear that now they're going to have to let go of their power and they don't want to have to share that power. And my whole thing is that it's really a powerful thing when you can recognize that there are people who have different ideas and that will help you be more successful in your organizations. So we do have some work to do. We got to work through the polarization. Yes, we're still very, very polarized. There's a lot of rhetoric that has been quite divisive over the last few years, even more so than ever before. But I'm really pleased to tell you that because of what's happened with the pandemic, it has exacerbated the realities of inequities. It has also caused for a greater amount of social justice because of the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others that were unarmed and that were killed simply because of their race, ethnicity, and color, that we have seen a greater number of organizations getting an awakening and refocusing back on creating cultures of inclusion. Last thing I'll say is when you talk about culture, culture is like the wind. You can't really see it, but you experience it. And people are living in cultures where they're toxic, where they don't feel psychologically safe. There's not trust there. People don't feel like there's care and feeding and concern from their leaders. So I'm doing quite a bit of work to help leaders recognize that they are the thermostats in any organization. They're the ones that are creating the cultures that people either embrace or people run from. And a lot of people are quitting and joining the Great Resignation because of bad leaders and toxic cultures. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That is, number one, it's a powerful story. Number two, 60 minutes has flown by. We have to bring you back.
Please do part two.
I really hope that the viewers truly understand the power they just received, the wisdom they just received, the ideas they just received from Dr. Shirley Davis. And she's not finished because, you know, at the end of our show, since I'm a speaker, I always ask our guests to give us a mini, 30 seconds, a mini motivational keynote. So you have 30 seconds to pour in us one more time about resiliency, about diversity, about bouncing back, whatever you want to give us. We're putting the strawberry on top of the sundae. The next voice you will hear will be that of Dr. Shirley Davis with a parting keynote now.
Every day I wake up, I am grateful because I get an opportunity to add value and to live my most authentic self. I've learned how to tap into my gifts, my talents, my purpose, and I realize that the things that I've gone through in life is not just only for me, but they are for you. I wake up with a responsibility and an obligation that I have people out there every day that I'm going to run into, whether it's in the grocery store, in the parking lot, or whether I am keynoting at a large conference, that I have an obligation to help people get a larger vision for themselves, to get out of their head and step into their greatness. Why? Because you have something that is special on the inside of you. Not just because Les Brown told me, but because I know my creator put it on the inside of me and he put it on the inside of you. I'm going to encourage you today to not hold back, to not park on the side of the road of life. I'm going to encourage you today to not live in your comfort zone. Don't live in a known hell when there's an unknown heaven awaiting you. And don't be responsible for taking all of your gifts, all of your greatness to the grave and not making a difference to the generation that you were called to do. Yes, you have to leave this world better because you were here. Now get up and go and make the world a better place using your greatest talent, and that is you.
Boom. Did you hear it drop? Did you hear it drop? Did you hear it drop? Doctor, Shirley Davis, I'm serious. We got to do a part 2.
Yes,
Amazing,
this was
amazing.
so much fun.
Congratulations, super congratulations on your golden gavel. You're the
Thank you.
GOAT. Your 2 books in 1 year, your diversity, equity, inclusion for dummies, living a life beyond what you are doing the darn
Thank
thing.
you.
Thank you for
I have
coming to the Dr.
appreciated
James
you.
Show.
And can I just congratulate you on just so many wonderful shows that you have been doing? And I can say this is one of the best formats. I love, love, love the questions, but I love that you've done the homework to put up some of the views and the videos and the pictures. Thank you for that. You just really brought it home and made it even more personable. And that's what I call an experience. That's unforgettable. Unforgettable
Thank you.
experience. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And for you, our viewers, I tell you each time, we create informational and transformational experiences, and Dr. Shirley Davis just gave you one. Please join in next week, another guest, another experience, and like I always say, you've just been Jim Packard. See you later.